Okay, well, what happened to me happened when I was young, about 7 years old. And I was up at my grandparents up in Angus, and I'd been sent out to get the papers from our neighbours down the road, and it was quite a normal thing to go down and papers would be delivered there, and we'd just walk down and get them. Quite often we'd get a sweetie out of it from the neighbour and stuff. It must have been during the holidays or a weekend or something. So me and the dog wandering down, must have been mid-morning, nearly lunchtime, walked down out my granny's property, and there's a wee curved track, and it's all overgrown at the sides, and the dog stopped dead in the track, and she started to snarl and whine, and her hackles were up, and it was a really just strange thing, but I didn't quite clock it and kind of kept going past her and ended up out on the track just a metre or so further down the road from her, and looked up, and there's this big black humanoid type creature standing there in the track with its back to me, and I just froze for I don't know how long, seconds, probably no more than a couple of seconds, but at the time it seemed like a long time, and just couldn't believe what I was seeing. It was so tall that its head came to the top of the gutterings at the cottage next to where it was standing, so it was as tall as a tall man, 6.5 to 7 feet. The breadth of it was unbelievable. It was like two men standing side by side widthwise, and it was just pure black. It had no discernible neck, and the best description I had for years was it was like a gorilla, but it was upright. So at the time, I was in kind of shock, and I screamed. At the time, in this position, it was looking at a branch. It had this branch of a tree, just a thin branch, and it was just looking at the leaves on this ash tree. And the hand slowly came down, and the shoulders started to turn, and that's when I bolted, and the dog bolted with me, and I bolted back to my gran, absolutely screaming and crying and terrified and beating on the kitchen door, and they opened the door, and what's wrong? And I said, there's a monster out there, and and of course they didn't believe me. They said, oh, it must be a neighbour, and they didn't obviously believe me at all, and it was just absolutely just terrifying experience that's stuck in my mind for the rest of my life. So